is the U.S. dependence on oil and the strength of our oil industries affect what goes on in Sudan all these years?
Sudan, before independence, before 2001, Sudan was all one. And today Sudan has two Sudan. So South Sudan and North Sudan. And most of the oil that has been in Sudan whole years, now the oil is in South Sudan and in border. So the U.S. government is one of the government who support peace in South Sudan and support the people of South Sudan to get their country, to build their country. And today, the same conflict is still happening in South Sudan. And unfortunately, the same regime in North Sudan is still make the problem in South Sudan. And that should stop by the U.S. government. That is said, look, North, you should stop. Don't bomb the people in South. And no one are warning them. They're still blaming the leaders in South Sudan. And they're not warning the person who bombed the people in the new nation. So the oil is now, I don't know what I'm gonna say, but the situation is very terrible. So.
Do the United States oil companies involved in the oil in between South and North Sudan?
I never been to South Sudan after they've been independent, and that's I really don't know. But I believe that's Russia and China.
Mostly China.
Russia and China involved too.
Can you tell me where your activism came from? I mean, what happened? You were born and they said, okay, go fight?
No.
What happened? How did you come to this path?
It's long story, but when we are in the village before 2003, so I am one of the 4 people, member. So the 4 people, they're very peaceful people, and we was in the village. So the people at the village are very simple, and they're very peaceful, even being ignored by many, many years to get even the basic services for the human being life, and especially education, we've been ignored by many years. We've been ignored by any kind of wealth that will be benefit from the country. We've been ignored as the people from Darfur especially. And when I became as a refugee in the camp, and my village being destroyed completely, and I became as a refugee, and everyone became a refugee, and the village being destroyed, and the people being killed. And then we became all like people in a small place, but thousands of people. And those people, most of the people are women and children. So, and especially 4 people, they doesn't know Arabic. So, and my dad and my mom, they encouraged me to translate from 4 to Arabic to the people who they came to help for humanitarian, to get an investigation about what's happened. And then I start as a 4 interpretation from 4 to Arabic, and the other person from Arabic to English. And through that, I used to interpret for many crimes that's been happened, many village taken, being completely destroyed, many people being killed, many people being kidnapped from their family member. And through time, I been used to selected as the one of the community representative in the camps. So at the time I was in the camps, I used to be the youth representative. So I have to speak on behalf of youth. So, and then to become the youth involved, the issue of the youth, the education and the health care and the problem that's been facing every day. So, and they became familiar with the NGOs, like the international non-governmental organization that they came to support people. And through that, I used to work with the IRC, is International Rescue Committee, that's IRC. So the IRC was the first organization I started working with in the human rights issue and special training. I used to train thousands of people about the human rights conventions, children's rights, about the women's rights, how to know your rights as a refugee, and how to complain about any violation take place as a human rights violation. So through that, I became more familiar with the international delegation that came outside Sudan to know about the situation in Sudan. Through that, I get involved with many people in Sudan and outside Sudan. So, and also I work with the UN. So the time I work with UN too, so I used to work with the human rights issue, about the humanitarian issue, and then I became very familiar with everyone. So, and then the people said, this lady, she's like iron. She never tired, day and night, she's everywhere. And then the communities, they named me Muhammad Walad. Muhammad Walad, like women and men, no one knows who is that. She's men or she's women. So I used to work with the community and anytime, day and night. And the time the government of Sudan follow the community leaders and treat the community leaders, always they're asking about Hawa. How has she been organized this? How has she been organized? And then I always been arrested. So I've been happy even I was in jail. One day, the time I was in jail, and I started laughing. I said, you are crazy, this lady? And I say, I'm not crazy, but if you've been jailed, you're doing something good. By the government of dictators. So you're doing something good. It's mean good. So you are crazy. And say, I'm not crazy, but I'm doing something good. So that's I'm happy. So and through connecting with other people, and especially when you see the suffering of women, the suffering of young kids, the suffering of people, that's giving you a lot of strength. Giving you a lot of power and giving you encouraged to do more. Even you don't care about yourself, but you care about those people should live like just as a human being. And people lose dignity, so that's we should stand up and say no.
Question. I believe in Sudan there is a legal system, but that legal system protects only the rights of the Muslims, correct?
Right.
So my question is, then how are you going to enforce the human rights in a system that only protects Muslims?
Even the system is not just protect the Muslim himself, because it also kill the Muslim. Like the most of the people in Darfur, they being Muslim, they being genocided. The people in the Nuba Mountain, the Blue Nile, has the people who Muslim is being killed. And the problem is this system is like blood system.
Power.
It's like just blood system is just killing people and raping people and use the Islam system. That's why I just mentioned in the beginning that for last 25 years they used the Sharia law to kill the Christian in South Sudan. So after South Sudan being dependent and then again going back to indigenous people. So it's mean this is so dangerous government. It's not just also danger because it's killing his own people. It's also involving the terrorists globally. This mean this government is very dangerous and serious to the peace and security for all human beings globally.
So there is no legal system.
So it's corruption. There is legal system, but it's corruption legal system. And that legal system came from one party. That's the control the system in Sudan for last decades, over decades and decades and decades. So that's why this system is not believe in the human rights. That system is not believe in the people who are not Muslim. And even though are Muslim, but you should just be Muslims and Arab. Otherwise, they not believe everyone to be stamped. So the first day I been arrested, and I very liberal lady. So my father was so liberal. So always was encouraging me to be as a human right. So human right is not belief. You have religious or not. We just believe in the human right. Everyone should be free. Everyone should live in a peace. We don't care about you have religious. I don't care about you have religious or not. But you should be live. You should be alive, to be survived, to be alive as a human being. And the first time I arrested, the first day, the government of Sudan forced to hold in my case Bible. And in the Sharia law country, they said Hawa is very dangerous to the state and very dangerous to the Sharia, to the Islam. And they hold the Bible in my chest. And then they publish the Bible in my chest and say Hawa is converting Muslim to Christianity. And then this is the document, they have it in the Sharia law. Immediately they can hang you. They can kill you immediately, the document they have. You're going to change your religion from Muslim to Christianity, or you changing the people to the Christianity immediately. That's the document they have. That's what I'm saying. I never believed I could survive one day. So my people, they still saying, are you really Hawa? Or they kill you and this is another Hawa. They try sometimes to give me another more example to make sure that the Hawa, others will know. But this is crazy.
So why is there more killing in Blue Nile and South Kordofan?
So that's why
I mean, I don't even know where are these states?
That's the states as in Sudan. So in Sudan we used to have many states, but after South Sudan being separated with over 7 of the states, and then we have the state who still live. We have Darfur, it has 3 states, and we have a Nuba Mountain, we have a Blue Nile, and we have a South Kordofan, including the state in the central that around Khartoum. Khartoum is the capital in Sudan. So the government of Sudan, those marginalized areas, they are indigenous people. That's why the government of Sudan is going back after the South Sudan being get a peace, and they're thinking to have their own country, and then the government of Sudan back to Darfur to killing them as the indigenous people. And then the government of Sudan for last 5 years now is killing the people of Nuba and killing the people of Blue Nile without any reason, but because they're indigenous people. They have land, they have history, they have their own culture, and that culture being unfortunately the religious, as the Sharia, that's control the system by the Sharia, is destroying the language of the over 540 other people language, including my people language and the cultures and their way of the living. That's being completely destroyed, and just Islam and Arabic to be controlled everyone. So that's such crazy. Thank you.
What's the financial incentive for the war? And how do they fund it?
Oil have to be the one top of the economy in the country. Unfortunately, this is before South Sudan gets the independence. And then we have the agriculture. So most people, they're farm and agriculture, and including animals, and including there is also a natural things like diamond and gold. So all this now, the government of Sudan going back to the gold, and now they're buying the gold illegally to other countries like Russia and China. So Russia and China also, their alliance, very strong alliance to the government of Sudan.
So the regime is just stealing the whole country?
Yes. So regime is control everything.
Yeah.
You see, I take it that they sell oil to the Russians and Chinese so that they get the weapons.
Yes.
They pay for the weapons in all Russia and
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
And wherever else they can get weapons.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
it mostly Russian weapons?
So the Russia and China, that's the strong alliance to the government buying a weapon, including Iran. So,
So,
What population groups are safe?
the population group are safe in Sudan is like a small group being control the wealth of Sudan is Arab. So after the colonial took out in Sudan is 1956. From that time, then the intercolonial came to Sudan. The intercolonial is Arab and colonial African. So destroy their culture and they control all the wealth in Sudan, and they're giving themselves like their number one, and they have value to be Sudanese and other to be a low people, like without nothing, and even the history being changed, and the history being destroyed, and everything being crazy.
Does the Janjaweed still exist as a terrorist group?
And now the government of Sudan is improve this kind of the Janjaweed and change their name from Janjaweed to a rebel support forces. So, and these rebel support forces is doing the same crimes of Janjaweed, because they changed the name because the International Criminal Court and the international community talking about the government of Sudan trained the militia of Janjaweed, and those militia of Janjaweed engaging, and then now this new strategy where the government of Sudan changed this name, but is still committing the same crimes. Unfortunately, the European Union is being involved with those issues, with those kind of new militia, to protect the border from the immigrant that's crossed Sudan to Europe. So, and now the European Union involved to give money to those kind of militia, and then to protect the border, those militias. So those militias still killing the people in Sudan, and giving money by European Union to protect the border, to kill more people. So does now Europe Union feel more shame about what it's doing?
Why are they doing this?
Interest.
Still.
Just a quick comment. All these conversations make me remember about 5-6 years ago when the Sudanese, the Lost Boys, came through Philadelphia. Where they're now, God Grew Tired of Us movie came out of it. They came right through Philadelphia here, and I met some of them. I think Susanna, you probably met some of them too. Where are they now?
I know one who's in New Orleans.
New Orleans?
Just one.
I think most of the Lost Boys, they become more responsible and they graduated from many colleges, I think.
I saw an interview with
And
Precious
some of them, they back to South Sudan to build the South Sudan.
there?
I think what I
I kind of
hear.
lost trace of their story.
And they became strong leaders, yeah. So.
There's a person I know by the name Gabriel Deng.
Who's that?
He's from Sudan. I remember meeting him a number of years ago, and he became, I don't know if he was one of the Lost Boys, but he did come to this country, became well established, and has been going back there and putting in wells. He was paying for water wells, so the women in the various villages would not have to travel so far to gather water, which put them at risk.
Right.
And I just didn't know if you may have heard of him.
I never know him, this
somewhere
guy.
upstate New York.
Yeah, I never know him, this guy, but definitely, the people in the IDP camp is very hard to go back to bring even water or to bring the firewood or to bring at least anything to the animal. So does the government of Sudan continue on targeting and stopping them? And because even the land is being occupied by those militia and those militia is not just Sudanese. Those militias they brought from ISIS country, and now they be more ISIS.
Really?
Yeah. So now they're doing more ISIS things.
Yeah.
So, and the government of Sudan, who is the top countries who support ISIS, who is not just support, create ISIS. And unfortunately, for last year, they've been more involved with the U.S. government, and there was a 20-year sanctions, economic sanction against Sudan because of the genocide and because of the government of Sudan being involved with terrorists globally, and that 20-year sanction being removed is last month. So, and the same regime is still committing the same crimes, and the same regime is still doing the bad things, and they still have the connection with ISIS and created more ISIS.
I have another my question is not just to you, but to the group as a whole. Earlier you'd asked us to help as a human rights group to do something about this. So what would be the best avenue of approach for us to write a letter? To whom should we send a letter outlining these abuses and demanding that they be stopped?
Yeah, this is such important. And I think the letter, we could send it to different people. We could send it to the member of UN Security Council member. We could send it to the Secretary of UN, United Nations. We could send it to our senators and representatives and anyone who should get involved in about Sudan or lawmakers. So, and especially the U.S. is the one of the country who pay the more budget, and the UN and the United Nations African Mission is a peacekeeper in Sudan, and that peacekeeper is doing nothing. So that peacekeeper should be changed to the mission that protect people and at least stop what's happening.
Yeah, I checked the Amnesty website on Sudan, and as she pointed out, Amnesty is not in Sudan. They've all been evicted. But they have a number of letters that are just general letters about supporting the International Criminal Court verdict,
Right.
you know, and
I
I have the information right here.
Last 6 months,
Amnesty
Amnesty International.
It's very general.
Last 6 months, the Amnesty International is investigating the chemical weapon in Jabal Mara.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
so that's also the chemical weapon survivor and the victims. They're still suffering, and the humanitarian organization even is not allowed to go inside Sudan or to Darfur. So,
Well, we have time for one more comment or question, I
Who's the
think.
leader, and
Al Bashir.
what can you characterize the type of Islam in the regime?
so I think Sunni. I think I'm not sure because I really but their control is a fundamental. Yeah.
Sure.
So it's a fundamental regime, yeah, Islamic regime.
Just to become because the Sunni, the ISIS, at least in Iraq, they were trying to recruit the Sunni people from the western part of Iraq. And it makes me think also that the Saudis have a big role in Sudan.
Yes.
Money.
Well, yeah.
Because of Bin Laden.
It's not just money. It's not just money. Now Saudi Arabia is with Sudan is small operating war in Yemen, and just like couple of weeks, the Saudi sent his 8 ISIS leader to Sudan. So.
So
It's not a good sign.
more of a comment than a question. I know we've reached our time limit, but could maybe next month we could have on the agenda a letter connected with.
I looked for them.
Well, we could just
Yeah,
make
create
one
one.
up. Maybe to the UN, as you suggested, would be the best.
Could you write a letter for us? That we could send?
I would do that.
Yeah.
That would be useful.
Could even make it like a Google Doc or something and, edit it together.
Yeah,
Cool,
I
that would be
could send it
helpful.
to you.
Sure, send it to me and I'll disseminate it. Or use it next time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely want to.
Are you from Khartoum?
No, I'm from Darfur.
Uh-huh.
The first time came to Khartoum in 2006, and I used to come like in a training for the human rights training for like if I have any kind of meetings. And the last time I came, the time I been evacuated from this Darfur jail to Khartoum jail. The time my case become top is one of the national security in the country. So.
Well, I think we need to go on to the usual amnesty, unless somebody has a burning question.